Hi, I'm here today with Quillam, who is an active member of Arts Canterbury, and he's going to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his art practice and some of the skills that he has.
Hi, I've been a watercolour artist for about the last 25 years, although I originally started mostly painting in pen and wash, and started doing things like pen and ink work, a little bit like this image here. I generally do my pen and ink work on plein air, although I do use it sometimes for finished work and larger work. I think it's a lovely media. But today we're going to talk about how we can photograph our artwork to produce it successfully for social media or for some work that we maybe want to publish, like this calendar that I publish every year.
Quillam, you've mentioned that finding a good light is really important for taking photos, and I was wondering if you'd be able to talk us through some of those points.
Right, we're talking about trying to photograph work at a sort of a basic level here, using perhaps a phone or maybe a compact camera. And the absolute most important thing is to find some good light for our work. There are a few factors here that are really important. One of the factors is that we don't want to use too direct light, particularly if we're photographing reflective media like oils or acrylics. Not quite so bad if it's just work on paper like watercolour or pen and wash that can be photographed in most lights successfully, but a diffused light is really good. Outside on an overcast day is probably just about the ideal situation, but you can work inside as long as you've got good light.
Kind of like what we've done here today, Quillam. I've actually put a white sheet over the window so that we can actually see Quillam to reduce some of that shadow.
I think that's really an excellent way of doing it, and if you're using lighting as a professional would, then they always use reflected light rather than direct light.
You mentioned something about what to avoid when taking photos of your work in regards to glass.
Well, it's almost impossible in my experience to successfully take photos of artwork which is behind glass. The problem is the reflection, of course. So no matter how carefully you set it up, it's practically impossible to achieve a photograph without reflection in it. So you may find that you're taking a nice photograph of yourself in your artwork rather than photographing the work itself. It's also possible to improve the lighting of our work, and if we're taking a photograph of some work, what I find is if we take a pad with a blank paper on it and back that up on the opposite side of the piece that we're trying to photograph from the light, and use the bounce light that reflects off the paper to help distribute the white light evenly across the work. One of the things we're trying to avoid here is we're trying to avoid a difference between the whites on the light side of the paper and the whites on the far side of the paper. So it's a matter of getting the best light we can onto our work. So at the simplest level, this is the way I would go through about photographing artwork. So I'd place the work on the floor in a good light. I'd use a white pad to provide some reflective light on the work. I'd take my phone and set it up so I'm pointing vertically down. And with the phone, I'd move down until I've got most of the work in the frame. And at that point, I could consider taking the photograph. Now, getting it all lined, all the edges lined up, sometimes is counterintuitive, but remembering you're going to crop it later, you can just take the photo like that. Another tip for producing good work is to use the automatic timer on the phone, and that means you can more likely hold the camera more still than you manage otherwise. So there we are. So we've got a pretty good shot there of our work, and we can crop that later if we choose to. If we're working with more reflective work, then the process is pretty similar really. So let's take this work which has been resined quite highly, and we're going to try and get a photo of this. So we'll place that again. Now, remembering that we've got to get our camera, or our phone in this case, pointing in parallel position, so pointing accurately and directly at the work. Now, you'll see the problem we have with photographing this sort of work. You can see we've got a strong reflection there in the background, and this is where, at this point, we may have to reconsider how we're doing this, but I will take a shot here. Sometimes moving the work away from the light source a little bit can help us, or angling the work or whatever. In this case, I'm going to use my compact camera to take this image. So you can see, if you look down, that we've got the work face placed the other way around, and I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to adjust my camera. I've got my compact camera set on a 10-second time exposure, so getting at the work, almost filling the screen and starting the time exposure process. So if we look at the image I've got here, we can see that I've actually got a pretty good quality image with pretty even light right the way across the photograph. As I was taking that last shot of the reflective work, I noticed that there was a reflection off the white board that I was using to try and make the light even across the whole picture. So I've just taken that away, and I'm going to try with my camera to get a shot and see if I can do it better. I can see, if I look very carefully, that there is just a little reflection of the camera in my image, but it's certainly not too bad. So we'll wait our 10 seconds again, trying to hold it as still as we possibly can. There we are, and we've got a pretty good shot.